You're watching Fugitive Redeye, and welcome to another episode of Redeye Raw. Today I thought I'd talk about the different series on my channel, including scrapped series that I decided not to end up doing in the end. So, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I have a lot of different series I do on the channel. I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, because there's been so many that have come and gone. Let me start with one that I'm probably not going to do anymore, because this has kind of replaced it. There was Random Thoughts, right? And what Random Thoughts was I would just ramble on about whatever the hell was on my mind at that moment in time, sometimes with a topic, sometimes without. That has effectively been replaced by Redeye Raw. That's what Redeye Raw is all about now. The only key difference between Redeye Raw and Random Thoughts is the fact that Random Thoughts had gameplay and voiceover, whereas Redeye Raw is a video with me, and, it's on the video, live action. Not to mention Redeye Raw is largely unedited, as was Random Thoughts, actually, now that I think about it. The only thing I do close to editing is occasionally I pause in between things when I need to take a breath or enunciate what I'm thinking about, although if I stutter or stammer or do any stupid things like that, that typically gets left intact because I don't edit it. But one of my favorite series to do is the Movies You Probably Never Fucking Heard Of series. That series was what prompted me to reboot the channel and come back from the brink of oblivion back in 2015. Without Movies You Probably Never Fucking Heard Of, there probably wouldn't be a modern-day Fugitive Redeye. That said, I've also grown to really like doing Redeye Responds. In fact, I'm going to start working on another one of those probably after I finish recording this. I also really like doing Sergeant Friends. Sergeant Friends is a whole other thing that took on a life of its own. And I think I owe a lot to Corbin for that, because although I created the series, I've always considered Corbin the co-creator, because it would be a very different show without him. Because he came up with about half of the episode ideas, I came up with about the other half. And Pedro really was more his character than mine, because Pedro was a very different thing when I created him than when Corbin joined the show. So, let's talk about some series that I had planned to do but never did. When I was looking at my old websites, apparently I had planned to do a show called Paranormal Talk. Never did. I don't even know exactly what that would entail, other than maybe talking about paranormal things. Here's the thing. I actually think I might do a Redeye Raw on the paranormal, because it is something that fascinates me. But I'll save that topic for when I actually do that episode. That said, another series that I started but never continued was Shitty Sequels. Now, Shitty Sequels... I originally started it with an episode about Wishmasters 3 and 4, which were god-awful sequels. I love Wishmaster 1 and 2. Those are great movies. But then, with Shitty Sequels, I was going to do a second episode about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And don't you worry, I'm still going to do a video talking about why I don't like Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Because I think that it still deserves a spotlight video, whether that'll be a Redeye Raw, or if I decide to continue Shitty Sequels. Although Shitty Sequels was just me in front of a webcam talking, which, again, Redeye Raw basically is too. I mean, this isn't a webcam, this is my phone. Although, I've kind of alternated between using the webcam and the phone. I think it's nice to mix it up and use a little bit of both. And the webcam and the phone give different angles. So, it's interesting. Like, they look different quality. The webcam, you can typically see my TV over here, which you can't see right now. So sometimes I'll throw something up in the background on the TV, although it looks like shit on the webcam. Like, I had the Cleveland show on the TV last time, and you couldn't tell because the webcam is shit quality. I do plan to do more Anime Encyclopedia. I just haven't done it yet. I am editing another episode of Sergeant Friends as well, like Gary Gat Origins. Like I said, I'm working on the finished version. There's a tasty burp with some curry on my breath, because I had some Indian food not too long before recording this, so there you go. Another series I started but only ever did one episode of was a series called, Crazy Talk. And I did an episode on the Mandela Effect. And I was going to do, several episodes on different conspiracy theories and things like that. But then I never did. Again, remember, conspiracy theories used to be a major part of my channel back in 2010 through 2012. However, I did delete a good chunk of those videos, which is unfortunate, because, it's part of my past, it's fun. But I did do that. Obviously, there's still little snippets of them here and there that are primarily unlisted, but I did do that responding to classic Red-Eye thing to kind of highlight some of them that still exist. Red-Eye Raw is definitely a series I think that I think was a great idea to start, because it was like Random Thoughts, but like it almost feels better somehow just to have like my face in front of the camera and to talk, and I just feel like the topics have been more interesting this way. Because I'm not trying to constrain myself to like 5 minutes of game footage or 10 minutes of game footage. Because I was using Upload Studio to make Random Thoughts, which was a god awful program that I never intend to use again. But with Red-Eye Raw, I don't need to rely on that. I just record a video, upload it, boom, done. If I use the webcam, I'll throw the intro and outro on. If I don't, I won't, because I'm not going to edit it, and it saves me steps. Crazy Talk was a series I never continued. Believe it or not, anime reviews were going to be done very, very differently before I just started doing them normally. You see, when we were going to start doing anime reviews, everything was supposed to be this big series, each with a different theme, when I rebooted the channel. Standalone videos weren't really something I had originally intended, and in fact, I didn't intend to do very many solo videos. Everything was supposed to be, a team. Like, here's the thing, Fugitive Red-Eye isn't even, like, I never considered it myself originally. Like, it later became the moniker I took on when I rebooted the channel. But before then, I was always just Ange, my nickname, which is just short for my first name. Angelo, obviously. If you paid attention, you probably caught that is my first name. And I would just, Fugitive Red-Eye was the name of the channel. But then, like, when I rebooted it, Fugitive Red-Eye became my name. But the thing is, I didn't even come up with the fucking name. I stole it from Danny. So what happened was, back in, like, the Xbox 360, Danny was creating his Xbox Live account. He wanted to call it Red-Eye. Red-Eye was already taken. So he looked around the room to find something to make it unique. And he found a copy of the movie The Fugitive. So he became Fugitive Red-Eye. But it was spelled correctly back then, F-U-G-I. Now, there's a reason this one is F-U-G-A, and I'll get to that now. This is a little bit off topic, but whatever, fuck it. Fugitive Red-Eye with an A, Fugitive Red-Eye rather than Fugitive Red-Eye, came about when he lost access to that original account and created a secondary account under the name Fugitive Red-Eye with an A. And because that was what his current account was at the time we made this YouTube channel, back in the day, every YouTube account had to have a unique name. It couldn't be one that was already used. Which, I don't know why they got rid of that. I thought that was pretty useful to make it so that not everyone was the same. But at the same time, I get it. Because, there's millions of accounts made every second, so I get why that's kind of not feasible. But back in the day, back when I created the channel on October 26, 2010, I needed a name. And Danny was there with me. He gave me the go-ahead. He's like, I'm like, what should we call our channel? And I'm like, I'm going to use Fugitive Red-Eye. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. Because again, it wasn't my channel at the time. It was our channel. Now, granted, over time, it definitely became my channel, and it's definitely my channel now, because most of my videos are solo. Now, there's a few exceptions. And especially during this weird, period right now, during this year, it's been primarily solo. But that's not always going to be the case. There will be some stuff where we get back into the swing of things, but these things take time. And not everyone is available at all times. But anyway, that's a whole tangent. Another series, but so my idea when I started the channel, when I first started it, it was just, video after video after video. And Horror Fest was going to be a series, and a bunch of other stuff. But originally, 2010 through 2012, everything was just its own thing, other than The Rant was a series. And then when I rebooted the channel, everything was kind of supposed to be part of a series. There wasn't really going to be solo videos, which I think was a stupid idea. If I have just an unrelated video, I'm just going to upload it as is. It doesn't have to be part of a series. And for a while, I wanted every series to have an intro, and some of them do now. Snack Reviews have had 3 different intros. One from Frisky Dingo, one from the Speedy Dub of Dragon Ball Z, and one from JoJo. There's a few other ones, like the channel intro, that I do throw on stuff now every now and then just for fun. And of course, Takeshi Tuesdays has an intro. Takeshi Tuesdays has actually had two different intros, one for Season 2 and one for Season 3. The Season 2 one did originate in Season 1, but it was like late Season 1, so I continued it into Season 2. And then last minute when I started Season 3, I'm like, alright, I'm going to do a new one just for the new season. Sergeant Friends obviously also has had a couple of different intros. That said, I not everything needs to be a series. So, anime reviews. I got way off topic there. But anime reviews were originally going to be a series. I forget what we were going to call it. We had a name. I want to say it was it had the word weeaboo or some shit. Or it was a very, mean term towards anime viewers, which is funny because that's what we were. That was the joke. But, we were trying to make, an anime review series. And we wanted to make, this animated intro of this big-ass fat guy coming in and sitting down watching anime. Obviously, none of us know how to animate, so that never fucking happened. And anime reviews just became not really a series, they're just standalone anime reviews that get thrown in a playlist with other anime reviews, sure, but... The first anime review I was going to do was originally going to be Devilman, the 1970s series specifically. But because I was watching that with Snowman, he didn't like to watch it all at once. He didn't like to binge it the way I did. We would watch 1 or 2 episodes at a time, sometimes 3 or 4 at most. So we didn't really binge Devilman. We just kind of watched a couple episodes here and there. So Devilman did not actually end up being the first one because it took me 2 goddamn years to finish watching it. And then I eventually did review it after reviewing several other entries in the Devilman series. The first anime review I actually did was the Higurashi review. And originally, every review was going to be just live action, my face like this, before I started using, actual clips and pictures and screenshots and stuff. But the Higurashi review I did, let's see, I think I just showed the DVD, didn't I? Let's see, I'm taking a look at it here while I'm talking.
Cry.
Yeah, so I just showed the DVD for Season 2 specifically, because I didn't have the DVD for Season 1 yet, or the Blu-ray rather, because I would go on to get the Blu-ray. But the DVD for Season 1... or for Season 2, rather, excuse me, is just all I showed, so I just kept flipping it over and stuff, which I've done with other DVD reviews, and that's probably how I'm still going to do DVD reviews in the future. Like the JoJo OVAs, I'm still going to review each DVD volume probably like that, just because it's easier. That was in 2016, so a year after I rebooted the channel. A little over a year, actually. But the reason that, because I was going to do the anime reviews live action, we were all going to sit there. And another thing, this channel was supposed to always have me, Dozermac, and Snowman, all 3 of us in it. Of course, then Dozermac moved, we got contradictory work schedules between the 3 of us, and it just became not feasible to do. And we all have lives outside of this, so it's fair enough. But not everything went as planned at the start. I originally had all sorts of crazy plans to do on this channel, but that didn't happen. I also want to say, there was a video, I can't find which video it was, but there was a video I did where I horribly mispronounced Higurashi's, where I mispronounced the word cicada. I said kikada or some shit. It was really bad. But I can't find which video it was in. I want to say it was in, an anime collection update. Right here, let me see this. Hold on. We're going on an adventure. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to review Genocyber, too. I bought Genocyber. I watched it. And I got ready to review it, and then I just didn't. Which I think was a horrible mistake, because Genocyber was fucking cool. I really like Geno. I need to get on that and review that. But, let's see, where is that? Is this the one where I got Higurashi? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe this wasn't the one. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be. Okay. See, I can never find that video. Because I horribly mispronounced Higurashi. Or not Higurashi. Well, actually, kinda. Because, here's the weird thing. I knew how to pronounce Higurashi no Nakakoroni, but I didn't want to sound like I knew how to say it. It was really weird. I was really insecure about that shit. And I do that sometimes, where I know how to pronounce something and then just don't. Anyway, I can never find which video it is that I horribly mispronounce the word cicada. Or is it cicada? Maybe it's cicada. Maybe I'm still mispronouncing it, but at least it's not as gross as cicada, or whatever the fuck I said before. Volume 1, and... Yeah. Alright, let's see. Okay. Well, I have plenty of manga and comic reviews I need to do, too, that I just never got around to. Like, I'll review one volume of something and then, like, forget about it for ages. That's a horrible thing with me, is I constantly forget about doing things that I start, like, finishing things that I start. I'm currently still watching Mazinger Z, right? I still need to finish this. This anime, it's good and all. I'm on episode 53, I think, now, out of 92. It's long. It's fucking long, which is why it's taken me so long. And here's the thing. I can handle long series, and I enjoy the shit out of Mazinger Z. I do. I love this series. It's a great series. It's, the granddaddy of mecha, so it's good stuff. It actually made me get into mecha. Well, a combination of Mazinger and Gun X Sword. And really, it was Shin Mazinger, not this one, but that's splitting hairs. Point is, I do enjoy the characters and stuff like this, and I will say, after they introduced Boss Borat, I've gotten more interested than I was before. But the problem with it is, not only is it long, because I can handle long. I watched Fist of the North Star of it, but then again, I took my time with that. With longer series, I tend to take my time. Like, I'll binge episodes at a time, sure, but then other times I'll watch 1 or 2 episodes. And then I'll take long breaks in between. That's just how I do longer series. Sometimes I'll watch them all straight through real quick. Like, let's see. No, I took breaks with Dragon Ball Z, too, when I first watched it. And I watched Dragon Ball Z the first time fully through as an adult. I didn't watch it as a kid. But anyway, I'm going to go off on so many fucking tangents here, so let's try to dial it back. Point is, I've had a lot of different series on my channel. Series that I start and then don't continue. And some of them will get continued, for sure, eventually. Other ones, not so much. For instance, I consider my game collection to be a series now that's separate from my DVD collection series. Even though I show games in DVD collection updates, it's because I started my game collection as a separate series. So I gotta continue it that way. I gotta do more Tales from the Drive-Thru, too. I have a few episodes of that planned. And that episode has a format. It is gameplay with, voiceover, but if you haven't noticed, I have tried to make sure every single episode of Tales from the Drive-Thru uses a different video game. I have never used the same exact game twice. I may have used some of the same games in the same series. Like, I may have used some different games within the same series, but it's never the exact same game. Let's see. Life of Redeye is similar to Tales from the Drive-Thru. I've only done one episode of it so far. But it's just life stories that don't have to do with the workplace or customer service or things like that. So, Life of Redeye, although it is kind of its own series, is part of Redeye Raw. Redeye Raw has several sub-series. There's, just Redeye Raw itself. There's Redeye Recommends. And there's Life of Redeye. I guess that's not several sub-series. It's just a couple. But still, I've also, gotten more open about what topics I will and won't talk about on Redeye Raw. Like, I don't try to talk about super hot button issues most of the time. But on Redeye Raw, you know what? If there's something I have an opinion on, I'm going to fucking give it. I've decided that. And the point is, it's like, it's not like I want to make my channel all about my opinions on controversial issues. But when I'm off the cuff and just speaking raw, it might come up from time to time. This isn't going to turn into one of those episodes, don't worry. But, a funny thing, just with, like, politics in general, right? I'm not gonna talk in depth about politics. But I've gone back and forth about whether or not I'm okay with talking about them. It's really weird. Because, like, when I started the channel, that was literally my goal. Although my political views were from the point of view of a fucking crazy-ass conspiracy theorist, a large part of the channel was dedicated to that when I started it back in 2010. And although they were crazy, outlandish views, they were still political views nonetheless. I've briefly shown biases and mentioned things in other videos. And then, of course, in Redeye Raw, I've outright talked about political topics and given my opinion. And I've also made it clear, I don't care if people, like, I don't judge people for disagreeing with me. Because people can disagree all they want. But I've gotten more open about it, for sure. I don't ever plan to make it a focus. Don't you worry about that. This is never going to be a channel that's, like, focused on that. But Redeye Raw, I've decided I'll talk about whatever the hell I want. But other times, there's been political arguments started on stream. For instance, if you've ever seen my Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 stream, you may notice that the current version cuts really short. But that's because a couple people in the chat started talking about politics, and at first I kept saying, alright, let's not talk about this, and then eventually someone said something, and then they followed it up with the really condescending, well, it's just common sense, which I fucking hate when people use that argument. I really do. Because then I'm like, okay, first off, no, because this, and this, and I gave my points. And they're like, no, but it's common sense. And I'm like, you just didn't even fucking listen to what I said. And I'm like, all right, that's enough. And then I think I started shouting, like, legitimately. It was a very heated thing that all started because someone was trying to be edgy in the chat and was saying, F this politician, F this politician, F this politician. Then this other person said, well, I don't like them because of this, but I do agree with them because of this. And then, like, it just devolved into this crazy shit. And then, that's why I try to avoid it on stream. Because on stream, it's heat of the moment. And the thing I hate is that I had better arguments, like, later on. Like, I'm not saying I had better arguments than them, because, truth be told, I did a piss-poor job. Because I'm not a debater. But, after the stream, I'm like, I could have said this, and this, and it would have made more sense than saying this, and this. But that's why I do try to avoid it, because those things are inherently divisive. But I also think if I'm doing a series based on my opinions, my thoughts, whatever, I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want. But I'll try to enunciate, and I try to be as neutral as physically possible, while still definitely having my implicit biases. Obviously, this year I've had plenty to talk about on that front, and I've only done, 2-3 videos talking about that sort of stuff? But, it's not something I plan to make a focus of the channel. That's something that's been very difficult, because I try to balance it. Because there's been other times where I was streaming with other people, like, on the stream with me, and they say something I'd agreed with, but then I snapped at them and said, don't bring up politics, even though they said something I completely 100% agreed with. So it gets really difficult. And then, of course, there was my fucking ODST firefight stream. There are large chunks of that got cut out because the person who was there with me on the stream got into an argument with me when we were arguing back and forth at each other. And again, this isn't in the chat. These are people I was talking to. And it pissed me off that derailed the entire stream from that point on. So I had to cut all that out in post. There are definitely things that I try to avoid. Like, I don't like to talk about, issues that people actually have legitimate criticisms of. I definitely don't. And I'm not going to go off on a whole spiel on that, because this is more about series of the channel. I'm just saying, on Redeye Raw, anything's fair game. I'm going to try to be as non-divisive, and I'm not going to make it a political series. But there very well maybe episodes where I say something that you may not agree with. And I'm just saying, be prepared for that. It's Redeye Raw. It's uncut. It's off the cuff. It's whatever the fuck. Anyway, other series that I have done that I no longer plan on doing are things like Captain Shame. And the funny thing is, when I made Captain Shame, I held very different beliefs back then than I do now doing Sergeant Friends, even though Sergeant Friends is a spin-off of Captain Shame. Captain Shame also used to be a lot more of a political series, whereas Sergeant Friends, I've kind of moved away from that. On the other hand, I've also made Sergeant Friends arguably much more offensive than Captain Shame, so it's like a weird balance. But, point is, I have a lot of series on the channel. I have a lot of things I like to talk about. And that's why I have Redeye Raw. Redeye Raw is just a venting, off-the-cuff, whatever the fuck. Here's the other confusing thing. Things that I've talked about on Redeye Raw could very well have been classified as rants. And rants is a series I did. Technically, it was originally called The Rant. And there used to be a lot more episodes of The Rant than there are currently. Like, let me take a quick gander at the playlist. Okay, so there are currently 14 videos in the Rant series. It's just called Rants now, because I removed the title The Rant, and I also removed episodes number. The first one in that playlist is the 3rd episode of The Rant. It's not the original. the first two I removed because, well, they were those two videos I showed in responding to Classic Redeye where I ranted about conspiracy theory shit. Then, of course, there was a couple others here. Let's see. So this, for reference, the fourth one in the playlist. I'm going to check it out and see.
You're watching Fugitive Redeye.
Yeah, okay. So then the fifth rant was removed from the playlist, too. And then, so rant number 6 became the fifth one. Or no, sorry. So rant number 3 became rant number 1. 4 became 2. 5 became 3, etc. Then I removed 5. Yeah, so I removed 5, rather. So this is 6. So 6 became 4. Or no, 7 became 4. It's confusing. I removed quite a few. In the If It Ain't Broke, Don't Fix It rant, I say that's my 8th rant, but it's the 5th one in the playlist. Because I removed the rant episode 5, which I will never, ever show the rant episode 5 ever again. Because I say a lot of things that I very, very, very strongly disagree with now. And I sounded like a fucking idiot at the time. So, because of that, you'll never see the rant episode 5, because it legitimately makes me angry to go back and hear myself spout the nonsense I was spouting in the rant episode 5. So, that's one thing. I will say, the rant is a series that got a lot of people to actually come to my channel. Specifically, my Mike Judge is a dick one. That became a big one. But, point is, it's like, where do I draw the line between what's a rant and what's Redeye Raw? Because sometimes Redeye Raws can be kind of ranty. And, you know, the rant subscription services shouldn't be the only option. That could have just as easily have been a Redeye Raw. But it was straight up a rant. So, I'm trying to figure out the balance on what's a Redeye Raw and what's a rant. I've also debated retroactively considering things parts of Redeye Raw, but then ultimately just decided against it. Like, I've thought about including the Shitty Sequels episode as part of Redeye Raw, and I've thought about including certain rants as part of Redeye Raw, but I just decided no, I'm going to keep them separate. Gotta love that lamb and chicken curry combo. Good stuff. But yeah, that's all I really have to say at the moment, I think. I got off topic many times, but that's something you can expect with Redeye Raw. In all honesty, Redeye Raw is basically the new Random Thoughts, like I said, so it can get really off topic and still be fine. Because it's not necessarily a focused series. It's just me rambling on and just saying what I think at the time. I have a lot of series that I need to keep up with. Let's see how many playlists I have real quick. I have a lot of playlists. I'm going to count them. So I've got around 63 playlists. I think I lost count a couple of times and double counted things and like skipped a couple, so bear that in mind. But I've got like 63 playlists. Now, granted, not all of them are series. One of them is a favorite music playlist, another is just favorites, another is collabs on another channel. Anime reviews isn't necessarily a series, although it kind of sort of is. Another thing, I had a series called Let's Burn Something. Only got 2 episodes down. Probably couldn't make that series last on current YouTube because the premise was setting shit on fire. Granted, safely controlled burns, but still. Not gonna do that. Well, no promises. Maybe another episode could happen someday. And I've debated going on and doing like a final episode of Captain Shame just to wrap it up, even though basically Captain Shame became Sergeant Friends. I've also debated doing an episode 4 of Tub of the Heart. I only did 4 episodes of Dead Formats. VCD, Laserdisc, VHS, and Video Now. I need to do more of those, I think. Smith Saturdays might get a second season eventually. I've only done 2 creepypasta reviews. So there's a series I used to do called We Try to Play, right? And that sort of evolved into the live streams. The ones with me, Snowman, and Jacob. Because originally We Try to Play was that, but it wasn't live. Well, actually the 2 of them were live, and those 2 also are part of Mystery Redeye Theater. So, again, there's a lot of overlap with the series I have, too. It's very disorganized, and, well, I mean, they're organized in neat little playlists, although my live streams playlist is a fucking mess and doesn't have anywhere near all of them, and it's severely out of order because I just started throwing stuff in again at random. So, anyway, point is, I have a lot of shit. I have over 1,000 fucking videos. Quite a few videos. Let's see. So according to YouTube, when I search my channel, I have 1,158 videos. The new studio doesn't actually let me look at the exact number, but that is actually not correct. I have more than that because there are some that are unlisted, some that are private, things like that. So I have a lot of videos and a lot of video series, and that's probably not going to stop anytime soon. I plan on probably starting quite a few more new series. And there's probably going to be more overlap and confusion, but hey, that's just what I do. So, you know what? It's been 30 fucking minutes, so toodles.